Were you taken to another planet, to a mothership? How did they communicate with... Can you tell me what they look like? Can you tell me how many of them there were? Were you given food?
But the teachers are alive. They're not books. They are the very living essences of nature itself.
What a strange person.
Unbelievably powerful supercomputer that's running our reality, and we don't have a clue as to how to operate it.
So when maybe you or somebody else creates an AGI system and you get to ask her one question, what would that question be?
What's outside the simulation?
Say in your mind, say to yourself, I am more than my physical body, because I am more than physical matter. I can perceive that which is greater than the physical world.
Do not know all the answers to the questions about reality. Do not claim to know the ultimate truth about life. I seek that which has been made hidden. As a part of a family of explorers of consciousness. I'm the void one.
Welcome to Lighting the Void.
Broadcasting from New York, upstate near the Great Lakes, it's Lighting the Void, and I'm your host, Joe Roop. We're live on KTLK Digital Broadcasting, the Fringe FM. It's Tuesday night, February the 16th on into the 17th, and my favorite, I would say probably like top 5 favorite guest is here on with us tonight. Alex Tsakiris is back from Skeptico, the Skeptico podcast. The website, you want to go to skeptico.com for reference tonight. We're going to go deep. We go deep into discussion when Alex is here. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for listening. And if you ever listened to the show before, if you never listened to the show, we talk about all things human potential consciousness, conscious exploration, the occult, the esoteric, paranormal, and everything eclectic, pop culture included. But it all has to do with going into the void and the ultimate questions of life. But it's pretty eclectic. And if you want to support the show, if you happen to like it, we could use your support. Go to lightingthevoid.com and click on, if you haven't seen the new website, you have to scroll down, but there are Patreons down there where you can join the members and get all the cool stuff that comes with that. Or you can make a one-time donation, grab some swag, or get the Ultimate Magician's Tool, the Altar Box, which is something I crafted in my mind and buddied up with the Esoteric Scholar, and we manifested it into physical reality, crafted for magicians and conscious explorers, made for you. It's worth it. And he's making 3 at once. So if you're still waiting on your altar box, it's almost done. It's coming. Just to let you know. If you want to call into the show at any point in time tonight, that call-in number is 1-800-588-0335. You can also go to our chat room and join all the cool kids in our Discord server. If you go to thefringe.fm/chat room, that's how you can get that going. And later on this week, we're going to have Joe Gallenberger. He's going to come back. He'll be back tomorrow night. He's been on the show once, and Matt Landman will be back as well. And then we'll do open lines Friday night. So it's going to be a pretty cool week. I know you guys are all freezing. You're snowed in. It's probably like 5 degrees across the country right now. But I told you, you shouldn't all been talking about nuclear winter and fearing it and everything. Look what you did. You manifested it. That's my theory anyways. So stop it. Start thinking about sunshine and palm trees. All right, let's bring on Alex. He's here with us. He's the author of several books, including Why Science is Wrong and Why Evil Matters, and is the host of the podcast Skeptico, and that's Skeptico with a K, which over the last 10 years has become the #1 podcast on the science of human consciousness, with millions of downloads and tens of thousands of worldwide listeners. And Skeptico's provocative interviews explore the tipping points of science and spirituality. And like I said, he's one of my favorite folks on the planet. What's up, Alex? Thanks for coming on, man.
Joe, man, I was super excited. I got the nod here for another visit with you, and it's been fun. You know, we've known each other for years, and you're always in my head with you and your void walkers. So it's super
Cool.
fun.
Well, you know, I think there's something to be said about the void walkers. Like, these people, you know, everybody's got all these questions about life, right? But it's the people that are willing to do what it takes to explore it. And that's what I call the void walkers. And that includes asking the right questions, right? To me, it includes asking the right questions. And to you, for those that have, you know, are new listeners on the show, they might get the wrong impression about Skeptico. The first time I heard your podcast, I thought, Skeptico, is this about being a skeptic? Is it like, is this guy the ultimate skeptic? And then when I listened to you, I was like, no, he thinks like I do in a lot of ways. Right. So what was it? Was it like a play on words? Why did you name it Skeptico?
Well, you know what? I mean, I think you just hit on it there, and that, you know, this idea of inquiry to perpetuate doubt is what the original skeptics back in ancient Greece were all about. Think about that. Inquiry to perpetuate doubt. Don't ever be sure, you know? And I actually think there's a real spiritual part to that. You know, because think about the people you know who call themselves spiritual and then say, well, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, wait a minute, really? Are you sure? Oh, yeah, and then think about the people who call themselves spiritual and say, yeah, but I'm still seeking, you know, I'm still trying to figure it out. I mean, those are my people. Those are always, because that's who I am. Yeah. And, you know, I have to say, because we were chatting a little bit about this before we kind of got on. Hey, man, this is exactly what you did a great interview with Stephen Bassett, and I was really tuned into the beginning and the intro. And I felt like you were talking about this very subject, because you were saying that you want to be skeptical, but you also want to be real about the truth. And you were saying, which I think was, I just think we should chat about it for a minute, because I thought it blew me away that someone was saying this, because no one's talking about UFOs these days. It seems to have been obviously pushed off of the...
Yeah, it's been pushed out, right? It's
been pushed out. And it's like, you know, where you were coming at it, there was just a couple parts of that. One, you were saying, okay, Joe Roop wants to know the truth, you know, so I'm skeptical, but I want to know the truth. So how do I pursue the truth? And you were kind of laying out your parameters for how you do that. And I thought, well, this is just so needed at this time to say, you know, how do I go into something that I know I'm going to be slammed, because a lot of people are not going to be with me, but I'm still going to try and find the truth. What do you kind of remember with that?
Yeah, I mean, the whole conversation to him was, I feel like we're going in circles with this Stephen. No, I'm just going to narrow it down and tell you where I was coming from, because I feel like we're going in circles with this whole, you know, Elizondo thing and all this stuff into the stars, and this whole idea of just riding the coattails of these guys. And at least we're getting somewhere. At least we're finally getting somewhere, and let's hang on to this. And I'm thinking, why would I depend on the truth from people that constantly lie to me and tell me that we're getting somewhere? You know, like, this is a problem, because we're starting to depend on the truth from people that constantly don't tell us the truth. And then we get angry about it. And then we just keep perpetuating this circle of, maybe one day they'll tell us the truth. It's a lot easier to go find the truth yourself than depend on somebody that lies to you. You see what I'm saying? Like,
oh, I totally see what you're saying. I think it's a phenomenal point, because the other thing I heard you say that I really, you know, kind of latched down to is, We all have our own internal kind of truth meter, bullshit meter, kind of, and learning to, at the same time, trust that, but also don't trust it too much, I think is something that there's a certain confidence that's required to do that is especially necessary right now. And, I remember you were relating, you were saying like Betty and Barney Hill.
Right.
I see that story. I see the regression. I know the controversy around regression, and I weigh it all out and I go, these folks are telling the truth.
Right.
And I think that kind of, because, where I've come from a long time is I was obsessed with science and trying to understand these guys who really everyone said they're the smartest guys in the room. And I was like, okay, they're the smartest guys in the room and let's go see what they have. And they're not telling the truth, And then when you find that out enough and you go, oh, okay, they're playing the same game or they're playing a different game. And lo and behold, it keeps coming back to, I think what you were saying is, no, I have to evaluate this stuff. I have to be on guard. I have to be skeptical of all the things. And then at the end of the day, I kind of got to measure it out. I mean, speak to that a little bit because I thought you made a great point.
I trust the truth of my experience more than I do the word of people from the government or, like I said, people that are known liars, manipulators, or if you want to talk about it in a nice way, intelligence, right? People that have worked for Lockheed Martin and all these other different places that have all these different government contracts, classified. But the difference between that stuff and hearing a grown man like Barney Hill scream in terror, I get more truth from his screams than I do from the mouths of those people. Why? Because I know what it sounds like when a man's afraid. So the only truth, like as a man, I know what it sounds like when he's real in terror. Like when a man's really in terror, he didn't fake that. That's my intuition. I can't scientifically prove it, but I don't need to. That tells me something's up. Now, does that mean he saw aliens? Or did someone play with his mind? I don't know. But what I do know is he saw something that shook his paradigm up enough for him to scream like that. Right? That's what I know. And that's more truth than I'm getting from Lockheed Martin and all these other people. I can depend on that more.
The tough part of that, though, I'm totally with you, right? I'm totally with you. But you're also incorporating in some of that Lockheed Martin stuff, right? Because you're going to the MyLab stuff and you're going to the accounts, and now you're going, there's some truth there that I have to sort out too.
Right.
And you go in knowing that the truth is going to be mixed with lie.
That's
but
right.
You still have to sort it out. And that's where you're also going. Where I hear you going is like, hey, it's our responsibility. This is what we signed up for, and that's what lighting the void is all about. It's like, it ain't going to be easy. It's just going to lay it out for you.
No.
Yeah, there's going to be tricks. There's going to be deception. What do you think about that?
That's what the void is. I think that's what the void is. Spirituality is. I think that's what it all is. It's to not be so naive and believe everything you see, but also, all of your experiences, you have to use your mind that's given to you, but don't let your mind work against you, because the void is exactly what we're in. Right now, we're living in the twilight zone of uncertainty. There's more uncertain and stressed out people now than there's ever been. What does that tell you? That tells you that all of these systems that we've depended on to bring us comfort and knowingness and easiness have let us down, because the truth was always our responsibility. It always was, and it always should have been, but we got lazy. And now this is the cause. This is the effect of laziness, of truth and accountability. What we're living in now. Uncertainty, fear. Don't know what's going on. Uncertainty to the point of mania sometimes, if you sit and think about it too much. There's no way of knowing. Right? And I'm telling you, I really believe this is the last thing I'll say, and I'll let you comment on this, is something is going on that is squeezing us down that's saying, whatever it is asking us not to use facts, logic, or all this other stuff that we think that we depend on, because you get facts and logic from people, and then you have to hope they're telling you the truth, whether it's on paper or through the mouth. But this time, it's telling us to say, why don't you actually use your own intuition? Intuition is asked from us more than ever. Conscious exploration is being asked from humans now more than ever, and accepting who you are individually and as a whole is asked from us now more than ever. It's a call to us. If we can get out of this mentality of pointing our finger and blaming everybody for this situation, because until that stops, we're just going to keep, the boiling pot of alchemy is going to keep on happening. I know I sound like a nutcase right now, but that's what I believe.
I want to circle back to that in a minute, because I think you're touching on something that I'm with you, but I'm coming at it from a different angle. And that's that, well, let's circle back to it. But I want to explore at some point whether or not there's some unintended consequences to the game they've played, and maybe they've overplayed their hand.
Oh, yeah.
Because out of the cauldron, out of the pressure cooker, they're going to create some truth warriors that are going to change the game in a way that I don't think they're anticipating. Because, so let's just, as they say, I hate that expression, put a pin in that. Because I want to ask you a couple questions about the UFO thing, just to kind of wrap it up. And I'm putting you on the spot here, but who do you think are one or two people who are your go-to sources, reliable as they can be, you know, because we're all being deceived at different points, in that realm where you can consistently go to and get the truth? And who are a couple of folks that you are maybe a little bit leery of? And I know that's kind of hard, because I know you don't want to like hate on the air.
I mean, are you talking about the UFO field? Is that what you're talking about?
I'm talking about the UFO thing, because like framing it up again, the UFO thing is the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the whole thing. If we're talking about hierarchy of consciousness with whatever we understand God to be being up there, there's E.T. And you just kind of, again, in this intro that you did, you kind of just went through the gamut, which I always go through with people. Like when I talk to people, and you're nice enough to fill out my little questionnaire, and like one of the trick questions in my little pre-interview questionnaire is, hey, you know, are you down with UFOs? And then how about E.T.? And it's like, you get so many people that say, oh yeah, well, yeah, I'm down with the UFO thing, but not the E.T. thing. I'm like, okay, deconstruct that for me. Tell me how that works in your world, that you got these craft, and you got like Kevin Day, who was on Skeptico, was a Navy Top Gun kind of guy who was orchestrating the whole Tic Tac thing out in San Diego, where they went, you know, the whole thing that they've rolled out as the big disclosure thing. He saw the things, you know, he went up on deck and it transformed him. He had these post-traumatic stress just from seeing the damn thing.
That's right.
Because he was communicating telepathically.
That's right.
When people tell me, you know, oh yeah, I'm down with the UFO thing and not the ET thing, I'm like, how you've just tried your hardest to kind of confine that thing, and then like what you took it one step further is the abduction thing, you know, which is the next thing. So you go, you take them through the thing. You go UFO, check or no check, okay, ET, check or no check, okay, and then you go abduction, check or no check, and the people who hesitate, you know, to get all the way through the boxes, I'm like, how are you processing that? It doesn't make any sense.
I think they're processing it from a different place than you are. They're not processing it from a place of actually caring about the truth or logic. On some level, they do. They're processing it from a place. A lot of people, and people do this subconsciously. I've seen this happen too. They're processing it from a place of, what are they going to think when I say this? What are they going to think? There's a program running in the back of the brain thinking, what is Alex and anybody else he shows this to going to think when I say this? I need to sound smart. I need to sound logical. But what they need to really put on there is what they really think and feel. And a lot of times those line up, and a lot of times they don't. But that program is embedded into everybody too. What are people going to think when I say what I really believe or don't believe? Right? And the whole purpose of that questionnaire is for you to try to get the answers from people without the public stuff to take that pressure off. Right? That's one of the purposes of it. And then so you can get a conversation from them. But I don't think a guy like you or me is going to consciously answer it and worry about what people think. But a lot of people do, is what I'm saying.
I think that's pretty profound. And I'm totally, the subconscious thing that you just said, I think is such a key part of that. And I would also add one other aspect to it. And that's that I think at a subconscious level, a lot of times people are running the whole thing. They're running the whole crush my belief system trap, because it's kind of like what you do when you talk to people who are have kind of fundamental religious beliefs that they know, hey, don't hit me up with the Adam and Eve thing. Don't hit me up with the Noah's Ark thing, because I know that doesn't make a lot of sense. But I have this belief system that I want to hold on to, which I don't put down, because I don't think you have to have that kind of Noah's Ark, Adam and Eve thing to understand a larger consciousness that comes through in your religious practice. And I'm going way off topic here. But here's the thing. In the same way, when you talk to somebody like that and you hit them with something that challenges that belief system, they're running the whole thing in an instant in their mind, like, this destroys everything I believe. And I think the same thing happens with UFOs. Part of it is, I don't want to look stupid like you're saying, or I don't want publicly to be put on the spot for what I believe. But I think the other thing is, like, if that's true, then I would have to fundamentally change my beliefs. And I just don't know if I can do that.
Yeah. Because if you shake up someone's paradigm, it will cause them to be uncomfortably uncomfortable, like in the worst way. I mean, look, people get emotional. Think about what I was talking about, Barney Hill, and I've experienced this too. When it doesn't even matter, some people can walk outside, and if something happens, let's say like something paranormal that they see in their visual, that there's no doubt that it was there. It doesn't even have to be threatening, right? But because it doesn't make sense to their paradigm, right? It's like something from another world almost. It shakes them up so much, it causes so much fear, right? It'll cause fear. Their heart will speed up just because they saw something that doesn't make sense to their brain. And also, when people have an actual out-of-body experience, or they remote viewed for the first time, you can usually tell it when it's actually happened, because they'll start to tear up and cry when they talk about it, because it shook their paradigm up so much that it changed them emotionally, right? And this is a whole different thing. So if people do that, how do you think they are when they're constantly given declarative statements? They're not going to talk about things, for the most part, especially unconsciously. They're not going to talk about things outside the box. They're only going to discuss things that make logical sense to their paradigm, what they believe, if that makes any sense. And then it's hard to open up your mind. Everybody talks about open your mind, but how open is your mind, really, if you think about it?
Okay, so play along with me. One or two go-to guys or gals, and one or two that you're not totally convinced you would be a good source for you. I
would say, I really like Tim Doyle from UFO Seekers, simply because, and we'll have to take a break like right after this, but simply because so many people have used his research and tried to claim it as their own pictures and stuff. Like, this guy cares about the truth. He's one of the last real deals in ufology, and still highly unheard of, which is ridiculous to me. But that should change. Also in the UFO field, I really, Jesus, man, like as far as researchers go, that's it. As far as stories go is concerned, I would think, like everybody says it, but the Travis Walton story is probably it. I like to listen to him talk about UFOs and stuff. I like to listen to him discuss these things. But when people start talking about technology and to the stars and all this other stuff, I don't trust any of it for some reason, even the pilots. And I'm not saying they're wrong. I just don't trust it. And as far as who I really don't trust in the UFO field and what they're saying, oh man, that's hard for me to talk about, Alex, because I don't want to bust anybody out.
You said enough. You did a good job of answering it. I accept that.
As a radio host, I have to accept all incomings. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got to hear everybody out. So, yeah, for sure. But that's a good question. If you guys want to put in chat, like, who do you trust the most in ufology and who do you not? Put it in the chat room. Let us know. We can deliver it to our guest tonight, who is Alex Tsakiris from Skeptico, by the way. The Skeptico podcast, definitely a podcast you need to go check out. You also need to go check out his book, Why Science is Wrong About pretty much everything. Why Science is Wrong About Almost Everything, and Why Evil Matters. We'll be right back. More Lighting the Void coming up right after this. Stay with us.
Fringe FM listeners, did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or no Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the Fringe FM by calling 701-719-3971. No smartphone app or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 701-719-3971. That's 701-719-3971. Listen to the Fringe FM on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Are you stressed? I mean, who isn't? Anxiety creeping in? No, not that. Is sleep hard to attain because your brain just won't slow down? We're living in crazy times, and the fear knob has been turned up. Okay, there's an answer. Take a big breath, exhale, and go log on to AncientLifeOil.com. CBD, broad and full spectrum, organic and non-GMO CBD for you to enjoy. Change your tune from fear to calm, from brain overload to clear thinking. 0.003 THC on full spectrum and 0% THC on broad spectrum. Competitive pricing with the best quality. Also know everything is going to get better. No worries, be happy. CBD can help calm so your nerves don't think they're a 6-string electric guitar. Enjoy life, smile, and log on to AncientLifeOil.com for great CBD. That's AncientLifeOil.com. You'll be glad you did.
Want to know what's on the Fringe FM? Check out our schedule at thefringe.fm.
Hola, Fringe listeners. This is Dave Cruz of Beyond the Strange, and you're listening to The Fringe FM.
This is Malorcas45, fan of The Fringe FM, challenging everyone to open their mind's eye. Listen to Lighting the Void with Joe Roop to gain precision for your third eye vision.
My name is Jake. I'm from Billings, Montana, and I am a void walker.
Hey, Joe Roop. Thanks for lighting the void. This is Janine in the bluegrass of Kentucky, and I am a void walker.
What's up, guys? This is Damien from San Marcos, Texas, and I'm a void walker. I listen to the show to keep myself aligned with the world.
Hi, this is Laura, aka Laura Lavender. I'm from Las Vegas, and I listen to Lighting the Void because it helps me understand some of the strangest experiences I've had. So thanks for all that you do and for always being there for us, Joe.
Hi, this is Kronox from Belgium, and you're listening to Lighting the Void with Joe Roop.
Hey, this is country music singer and void walker Jason Benoit, and when I need my fix on the world of magic and the capabilities of the human consciousness, I listen to Joe Roop right here on Lighting the Void Radio.
Born out of the alchemical tradition of Paracelsus is a medical tradition called Spagyria. Though not many people practice this work today, Phoenix Aurelius has been researching and teaching this work for the last 15 years, and he needs your support.
Hi, I'm Phoenix Aurelius, and I'm the founder of the Phoenix Aurelius Research Society, where I perform modern scientific research on the methods and techniques of Paracelsian alchemy and Spagyria for health, wellness, agriculture, ecology, and more. All my work is 100% funded by the public. So if you like what I'm doing and you want to support my research, please consider making a purchase of spagyric medicines from my apothecary, fund your own spagyric IDF wellness research, or participate in my group study or one-on-one immersion courses so that you can learn how to perform this work for yourself. I want to thank you in advance for your support.
Visit thefringe.fm/alchemy research and enter coupon code FRINGE and receive 15% off anything and everything on the website. That's thefringe.fm/alchemy research. And thank you for doing your part and keeping alchemy alive in the modern day.
It's midnight 30 here on the East Coast. Alex Tsakiris is back with us on Lighting the Void. And already jumping right out the gate with the UFO questions. Wondering how in the world we get back into ufology. I got to tell you, Alex, I hope we do get back into that realm. I hope we find another story or something else to follow. I'm counting on Tim Doyle from UFO Seekers, but I'm also thinking, and I'll go back to this and tell me what you think is, other than a couple of people, right? I really feel, again, that if we just as regular humans that care about the truth actually start tapping into conscious exploration in a practical manner, that we'll find more answers than the government or any of these cats on stage have ever given us, if we would really just go for it. You know what I mean? Like, do the work, do the astral travel exercises, do the meditations, do what you're capable of, stretch the limits of human potential when it comes to conscious exploration. See, I'm not saying you got to go like Aleister Crowley level, but just try more. It's fun to talk about. Go experience it, though. That's the way I look at it.
You know, I mean, I'm totally with you. I mean, that's been kind of my. But we're all constituted differently, you know. I mean, one of the things that I got interested early on is the reincarnation research, right? Because, like I say, I started kind of from a science angle, and there's just good science on that. You go to those guys at University of Virginia, Ian Stevenson, and now Jim Tucker. I mean, these are like real University of Virginia's damn good school. And these guys are doing PhD level work and getting it published in peer-reviewed journals, and they know how to do this work. And they're coming back and going, oh yeah, this reincarnation thing is real. And where the reincarnation thing leads you to, whether you want to or not, is this idea that we're kind of choosing the path that we have. And to a certain extent, we're choosing the makeup that we have. You know, whether we are the warrior who's going to be more drawn to, you know, jumping out of planes and shooting guns on the way down, or whether you're going to be a monk, or whether you're going to be, you know, a woman and a nurse, or, you know, all that stuff.
Yeah, whatever, right? Yeah.
That's right. So, you know, when that's always, I kind of pull up when you say that, because this is like one of my things lately that I'm kind of, and I got a couple of interesting ideas on how I'm going to explore this, but it's like when we look historically, and I think this is one of the major psyop conspiracies that I feel has worked its way through our education system, through our science system, through academia, and that's it's so atheistic, it's so stupidly atheistic that we look at history and we don't realize that all these people that we're talking about had rich spiritual lives, rich extended consciousness lives. They had those crazy out-of-body spontaneous experiences in the middle of the night. Pick anybody, Christopher Columbus, whoever it was. It doesn't mean that if they didn't write it down in their journal, it still happened, because that's the way we all are. We all have these rich, complicated lives, and part of that richness is this transcendent spiritual consciousness kind of thing. And until we start, you know, waking up or reimagining that, then I think, you know, it's like the whole thing with Joe Biden, right? It's like Joe Biden, Sleepy Joe. You don't think of Joe Biden as a spiritual guy. Everything seems so freaking fake.
Yeah, he seems like a walking puppet, doesn't he?
Oh, my God, totally. Yeah. Hey, but, you know, I'm a dad. What is it like when your son's going through addiction? I mean, forget all the finger pointing and the hating and all that. What's it like? Your son's hitting the pipe and he's, you know, his whole life. What's that like? That's not just a human experience. It's also, it's a consciousness experience. It's a God, what have you done? You know, it's all that stuff. And we all have that richness. And one of the conspiracies is you get in the sciencey mindset, and you get it, which is the atheistic mindset, and it just tries to, like we're saying about the UFO thing, it just tries to shade that all, and you just wind up, oh no, I should just think about it like this.
You know, I don't, and even beyond that, even beyond science, right? I was talking to, Jonathan, forget his last name. He was on the program the other night. It did amazing presentation with sacred geometry. Amazing. And just when you see how everything is made up mathematically, it looks like chaos to our eyes, but it is so mathematically perfect and organized. It's insane. I don't understand how you can totally, from a scientific level, understand the double slit experiment, frequency, vibration, how shapes come together this way, fragmentation, fractals, everything, and then say, well, I don't believe in consciousness, or it's a trick of the brain, or you have to be completely nuts. And to me, you have to be nuts, or you're in denial. And I think a lot of people are in denial because they don't want the responsibility of consciousness. That's what I think.
No. There's a huge other option, which is you're using it. It's a tool, man. It's a tool. If I can convince you, I mean, it's the ultimate psyop. It's the ultimate psyop. If I can convince you you're nothing, if I can convince you that life is meaningless, if I can convince you that just be happy with Black Friday and hope your visa, you know, stays
pay your
strong,
taxes, yeah.
you know, then you're a hell of a lot easier to control. If you start having inklings that you are this kind of infinite, limitless being that may be multidimensional, and you know, you may be connecting with beings for you are already now a lot more, you know, hard to control. Maybe the thing is working exactly, or pretty close to exactly the way that they want. You know, we're putting our kids through this system and they come out and they're just kind of, well, life is meaningless, and I have microaggression because of whatever.
Man, talking to my son has really, what you're saying has really opened my eyes talking to him, because he's starting to get so nihilistic, it's scaring me. It really is. And my son is in this realm of, isolation and video games and everything. And it's like, it's not just my son. We're in a whole new era where people can make $1 million next week if they get popular enough on YouTube. We have a whole nother era of people, a whole other wall to deal with to keep people from exploring their consciousness. And brain stimulation and instant gratification, isolation, brain stimulation, and instant gratification, that will definitely keep people from exploring themselves, consciousness, and nature for sure. And yeah, like convincing people that you're nothing, or that there's nothing out there besides, this earth, and you're going to die and it doesn't matter. I still believe people don't want to look at that, and I hear your point of view, but they also don't want to look at that too, because it makes them responsible for everything now. Wait, like, when you start telling people like that they're manifesting good and bad, and there's such thing as karma, and you can actually show it to them, and that makes you responsible for a whole lot of stuff. And it can almost send you into a mania once you start realizing that it's really happening. I've been there before, but until people actually started trying to explore it for real, that one out-of-body experience I had, Alex, you can't tell me, and nobody can tell me that I was dreaming. I know I wasn't dreaming. The normal type of dream people talk about, it wasn't even close to it. Not even close. And trying to convince people that it's real has been such, not that it's just real, but that they can do it too. And I always hear this. Well, I think it was an out-of-body experience. Alex, what I went through, there's no doubt. And I just want everybody to experience that so that they can see who they really are. And I'm not saying I know who people really are, but they're more than what they've been told. That's for damn sure. That's for damn sure. I know that.
Well, I think that is the ultimate truth, is that we are more. And when we contrast that with what we're being told by this conspiracy, this science conspiracy, this scientism conspiracy, this you're a biological robot in a meaningless universe. I mean, the first message in that is you are not more, So in the latest book, Why Evil Matters, and it's not what is evil, it's why evil matters. But the conclusion, I try not to preach, but the conclusion I have is twofold. It's one, you are more, and number two is you are good. Because I think that's the other thing that gets lost. And I've always appreciated how you've navigated the magic, occult kind of reality in a way that I think stays true to that ethos. At least that's what I hear you saying. And that is, we are ultimately good. Evil and darkness gets a ton of press, man. They get all the press because there's a coolness about it, and we all see that side of ourselves, and we want to rebel. We all have that sense, but there's a goodness in all of us that I think we all feel we can turn on at any point. And I don't hate on people. I'm not on all the time. I'm not good. I'm not good nearly enough, but I have no doubt that that is the core essence, that I can always go to the light, and if I ever get lost, I can always find my way back to the light. And I think whenever I hear that message getting distorted and kind of minimized, well, I don't know, maybe it's like, I'm out, Barry, my guard is up. It's like, bro, that's not It's not been my experience. What do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, I mean, like I have a couple of thoughts on that. Actually, I think, there's been a long-standing, I guess, strategy since religious times to get people to not want to live, right? Like there's something better on the other side. When you die, you're going to go to heaven. This place sucks, and you just earn your way into heaven or get saved or however you want to do it. But after you die, then you're going to get the good stuff. That, to me, is a problem. And then number two, like trying to not, this whole conspiracy thing it's okay. It's okay to question things and open people's eyes and all this other stuff and say, look what's happening. But when it comes to the solutions, it's like Charlie Robinson said, which was my favorite quote in the conspiracy realm. It's like there's a lot of conspiracy tweakers out there. They can tear everything apart, but they can't put it back together. You know, there's no solutions. So we've got all of this energy and vitriol. Like, I'm going to go out there and show everybody just how messed up this country is and just how free we're not and just how all this other stuff is. And then at the end of the day, when we shut all the podcasts off and the TVs and the anger and all of our, energy against it, what happened? Did anything change the next day? No, it just keeps getting worse and worse until we're here where we are, until people start using their practical, I would say, their metaphysical abilities in a practical way. I really believe that's what's being forced out of us, because earlier you were talking about, I think what they've done is going to backfire on them. And I think it's going to happen in this way. You can't squeeze everybody and all these people enough till there's going to be suicides, people that lay down, whatever. But there's going to be other people that be like, you know what, man, I'm going to sit here and meditate until I pop out of my body. And then I'm going to go remote view something. And then I'm going to go figure something out. Like, I'm trying to tell people, Alex, that you can literally become a ghost. And these people are worried about proving whether Trump needs impeachment or not. It's two different sides of which one is going to matter the most at the end of the day? You understand what I'm saying?
I do understand what you're saying. And I don't know, because this is something I still kind of wrestle with. And to me, I always see it as the difference between kind of the Gnostic approach and the non-dual approach, and I've always been more of a yogic, non-dual kind of guy. Yeah. And I'm particularly drawn to the Western interpretation of that. I think we've actually done some pretty amazing non-dual teachers in the West, I think, who've kind of reimagined that. But to me, the contrast, and then I'd like to know how you see those two worlds. But the one thing I see in the Gnostic world is the war, the battle, the archons, which we can kind of relate to, especially in these times, and we're kind of drawn to it. And then the non-dual is like, yeah, that's real, but that's just another duality, It's like there isn't really a battle. The battle is just one as soon as you wake up, and you don't even have to do anything. You just have to realize what is, kind of thing, which is kind of a paradox, because that turns out to be a lot of work to get to that point. But for some people, it's not. It's just that realization that it's all good, it's all okay. It's just not exactly what you want all the time, 24/7. You know what I mean? Well, how do you break down because I've never heard you talk a lot about kind of that non-dual vibe versus the Gnostic kind of magic, kind of make it happen for consciousness and extended consciousness stuff.
Well, the duality of good and evil is that was the thing I talked to you about last time, right? And I believe first off in the duality of the major, like I'm a Western occultist, and the Western occultism is entirely based on the Kabbalah, right? And the Kabbalah, or the Etzachayim, or that tree of life, is a map, pretty much a software of how to explore consciousness in the Western system. Freemasonry is built upon it. Kabbalah is built upon it. The Rosicrucian system is built upon it. Just about every secret society in the West is built upon it. But that same tree also corresponds with the chakra systems of the East, right? So once you really start seeing like where these mysteries come from, then you can look at these dual powers and say, okay, what is the dual powers like? Actually, what is this duality? And you first learn in these schools and in your own self that the male and female energy that we call male and female, which is still highly understood, that has everything to do with love and union. Those two forces are the things that created the universe, and they're dual forces, right? And these things even create life on Earth, and they create everything. It perpetuates everything. So what is the other duality of evil? Well, that is all about denseness and darkness, I believe. The more dense you get, the more dark you get, the more lonely you get, the more pain you get, the more evil comes from it. And I don't know, I feel like that's what I see when it comes to duality, right? Like we are in an opposite side of the coin right now when it comes to light and love. We are pretty far away from source. We are pretty far away from whatever this thing is. And I don't mean distance. It could just mean consciously, but we're trying to work our way back. But even further down the hole is even more deep and dark stuff. They have this thing in the Kabbalah called the clip-off, which is just the tree. It's flipped upside down, and all the astral travelers have seen these beings in these realms, and parasites and demonic things and shadow beings. And it's like, this is just a realm to me so far that has light, and I mean that in every sense of the word, as in brightness or weight and density and darkness, you know. But I'm getting highly symbolic here. But when you start talking about consciousness, you have to start speaking in symbols, because some of it's hard to explain, if that makes any sense. So, but evil is real.
It makes sense. I'm just not sure I agree.
You don't have to agree. That's the cool part about it, right? Like, you don't have to, but at least you're trying to figure something out, you know, which is,
yeah.
God, I wish we'd all get on that page.
Well, fair enough. But I mean, I do want to draw you out, and I don't know if we're coming up to a break or not, but I want to draw out this discussion a little bit about, you know, how that worldview of extended consciousness, you know, might impact what we do, how we feel, you know, motivated to go and make things happen.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a good leave off point, because we do got to take a break here. We'll also open up the phone lines too, if you guys want to call in the second part of the show. That's 1-800-588-0335. You're listening to Lighting the Void. We're here with Alex Tsakiris, our guest tonight from Skeptico.com. Go check out the Skeptico podcast. We'll be right back.
Hey, this is No Way Jose, a Northern California Piscean stuck in the Arizona desert. I'm a void walker, and I got the shoes to prove it. So what do I do when my soul yearns to delve deep into the realm of the unknown? I aim my satellite straight into the night sky and catch a smooth ride on the KTLK-DB radio waves. I tune into Lighting the Void with Joe Roop on the Fringe FM.
Joe, Lighting the Void is the best show on the planet. This is Barney, your friend from Facebook. Thank you and all the crew for all you do. Namaste, my friend.
This is Macon from the foothills of North Carolina, and I am a void walker.
G'day, void walkers. This is Lily from down under Australia. The world may be small, the enigma is greater. So let your curiosity take you for a journey with Joe Root.
Hey, this is Fee, coming in from Central Maryland, and I am a void walker.
This is Kevin Doherty, a beginner void walker. I'm from Vancouver, BC. I know a little about a lot, and as Leonard Skinner said, I'll guess the rest. I learned a lot from Mr. Root in the show, and heard it from the beginning. I knew right then he was going to be a new art gal. Thanks for all your shows, and keep it up.
Hey, this is Derek from Mass, aka the Night Stalker, and I'm a void walker.
This is Mark from Chicago, and I walk the void to ascertain what is consciousness.
My name is Jared Johnson, and I'm from Humboldt County, California. I do not know all the answers to the questions about reality. I do not claim to know the ultimate truth about life. I seek that which has been made hidden as a part of a family of explorers of consciousness. I'm a void walker. Thanks, Joe Root.
This is Barbara Charlton from Metaphorical Archaeology. If you've ever had a traumatic paranormal experience, the effects of it may stay with you for years. Who do you talk to? You can't go to conventional help. What we do is we use emotional freedom techniques or tapping to actually neutralize the effects of that event. Maybe when you tell the story now, your heart races and your palms get sweaty. You don't even want to think about it because you don't know how to neutralize that. That's what EFT tapping does. It neutralizes those emotions. The circuit that was recorded on is gone. The energy flows freely and you're free of it. And that's what emotional freedom is all about. We offer this as a pro bono service, but this is something that I offer because no one, it seems, is helping people with these experiences. If you'd like to reach me, it's really easy. My cell phone is 214-995-3754. Please leave a message. I will get back to you as quickly as possible. Or you can email me, barb.eft@gmail.com. And EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. Reach out to me. It's confidential. This works. You won't believe the results.
Have you heard of heavy metals?
Yeah!
I'm not talking about the heavy metals in the junkyard. I'm talking about the heavy metals that build up in your body. Heavy metals in your body can make you feel sluggish, fatigued, and just plain off. Why not try Life Change Tea at GetTheTea.com? Cleansing your body and making you feel great. Cleansing the inside of your body of intruders that sneak their way into you and set up an intruder camp. Life Change Tea helps remove unwanted intruder camps. Brew it, steep it, and drink in the results. Tastes great, so you can create a new health habit. Our tea loves to help people. It just needs the chance. So order yours today by logging on to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. Our Life Change Super Strength Tea is waiting. This could be a beautiful relationship. Take charge of your health. Order at GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com.
The Fringe FM isn't just a radio station. We also provide services for all your audio production needs. If you are interested in live radio or pre-recorded podcasts, we're here to help. We even do audio enhancements and voiceovers if needed. If you want to do a podcast or live radio show and even want the option to syndicate on terrestrial radio, from simple audio file enhancement to live production and call screening, we have you covered. We have worked with some of the best professionals in the business in order to provide coaching instruction for content creation, show structure, and more. Contact The Fringe Digital Media for more at info@thefringe.fm. That's info@thefringe.fm. Or call 501-777-5631 for a consultation.
From the Kingdom of Arkansas, you are listening to Joe Root and Lighting the Void here on the Fringe FM.
Hey, this is Amalia from Know the Self Mystery School. I know that you are in the midst of massive change. We all are. This is the great turning, the time that we all decided to be here on the planet. Do you know why you came here to be a part of this crazy time? If not, I invite you to join my mystery school. I have a 9-week course called Activate Your Mission. And in this course, you're going to learn how to erect crystal clear boundaries so that you can hear that inner still voice that's going to guide your every move. Even if you're dealing with feeling weighed down by obligations and being enslaved to the system, this course is going to give you the tools you need to illuminate your shadow and awaken to your soul's mission. The moment you sign up to the school, you are going to be greeted by not only a group of soulful spiritual warriors, but you're also going to get some massive karmic clearings, and you're going to feel the energy. It's palpable. I hope you'll join me in the school where together we're going to unlock your divine mission.
Activate your mission by going to thefringe.fm/soul mission and put in the code word fringe and receive $50 off today.
All right, welcome back to Lighting the Void. Alex Tsakiris, our guest tonight. Phone lines are open at 1-800-588-0335. Before the break, we were talking about the nature of duality. And Alex had a question on that. And this is, the rabbit hole doesn't get too much deeper than when you're speaking with Alex Tsakiris. At least Joe Roop and Alex Tsakiris. We're willing to go down as far as Alice will take us. Also, if you want to text into the show, you can at 501-777-5631. And if you want to contact me via email, you can at contact@lightingthevoid.com. We're live on the Fringe FM. Stay tuned after the broadcast for the Secret Teachings with Ryan Gable. And we're here 5 nights a week for you. Don't forget, live. So, thanks again for coming on the show, Alex, too. It's good to have you on here, man. Really.
Oh, it's really great to connect. I love talking to you, Jim. And I love what you've done with the show. So big congrats. And the network, station, it's fantastic. This is what we need. This is what we need.
Yeah, for sure. Like, we're going to keep this thing going too. Hopefully, one day the Fringe will be one of those people that actually changed something before. That's the legacy I want. There was this radio station this one time, and man, they actually changed something when it came to finding out the truth. It was really cool. That's all I want. That's the leg. And I'm talking about something fundamental. That's it. Something huge. That would be great, right? But, earlier you were talking about duality, and I look at that. Like, when you start studying occultism, it's the first thing that you learn is the nature of polarity. It's one of the first Hermetic principles in duality. And then you look into religion, and you look at, like, okay, the Old Testament, well, here's this God, and we're talking about Western stuff. Here's this God that said, no, thou shalt have no gods before me, and, would just smite you if you worshipped any other gods. In other words, the Old Testament seems to be like a God that is like this little kid that doesn't want anybody else to get attention but him, and if you do, then he's going to destroy you. Then you got the New Testament, and all of a sudden it's not the Father, it's the Son who comes around and, forgives everybody, saves everybody. It's like a duality in the book itself. And then there's the duality in the religions, the Western and the Eastern, and how they approach things, where one is based on works and salvation, and another one's just based on enlightenment and acceptance. And neither one is wrong or right, so to say. And then you look at Gnosticism, and Gnosticism talks about the archons, and even the God of the Old Testament was actually an archon that was here to enslave people. And it gets just damn confusing. Then you don't know what's dual anymore or what's up or down. And you got to start figuring it out for yourself, and that's the hard part. But you do notice that everything in the universe is dual, right? Like, it runs on duality. So,
well, except that at the same time, you're trying to balance these two ideas in your head, and that's that there is no duality, right? Because you go back to the science, and you go back to the double slit experiment, and you go back to consciousness is fundamental. Whoa, consciousness is fundamental. There's nothing behind consciousness. We are in consciousness. We are the drop in the ocean that occasionally thinks we're a drop, and then it goes, oh, wait a minute, I'm just in the ocean. There is no duality. But then we are enmeshed in all these different dualities that you talked about. But fundamentally, we understand at another level that there is no duality. There's no left hand, right hand. You can't do something to your left hand and have it not affect you. It's a body. It's all one. And I think that the people in the East, got that.
Right.
They got that there's a one. And then, but correctly, to your point, to deny the duality is also to kind of deny a certain energy that kind of drives our force, drives our life. So I think it's finding that deeper understanding. But for me, the path has always been more of the finding the non-duality, finding all the crazy ways that I want to put myself that I'm at the center of the universe. And I'm not at the center of the universe. And just because it rained on Friday in San Diego doesn't mean that it rained every place else. I'm not the center of the universe.
But you're put in a reality that makes you seem that you are.
Well, no, because at any time I can. I mean, that's the other thing that I kind of get kind of a little bit frustrated with people who've had transcendent experiences. And I've had one or two, but I have to say I haven't had any major kind of transcendent experiences, but I'm kind of dense. But I just want to say, yeah, and where are you right now? Where are you right now, Joe?
I am where I am. Yeah.
You are, and I am where I am. Yeah. So it doesn't really matter, what those extraordinary things are. We're still back to the same thing. I started doing the ice bath thing. I love Wim Hof. Wim Hof is the greatest yogi I've ever encountered, and I've studied a ton of them. And Wim Hof is he just embodies this beauty and this energy, and he's the guy who does the breath work, and he's the ice man, and he does the ice bath. So I built an ice bath in my backyard, and I got a big old freezer, and I put a pond sealer in there, and it's just ice, it's like,
man, you got it going on, don't you? That's cool.
Yeah. And every day, I've been, I don't know, 1,000 ice baths or 2,000 ice baths every day.
It's like you're addicted to ice baths. That's radical. All right.
No. See, because every day, my monkey mind is going, I swear to God, Joe, it's like all these excuses why I shouldn't have to do it today. Today, yeah, you can do it.
Resistance.
It's just, in a way, it's my way of confronting all the crazy stuff that my mind can kind of throw up at me at any point in a very real way. Because it ain't fun going in that freaking ice. It's cold, and I hate the cold. That's what turned me on to Wim. When I heard Wim say, I hate the freaking cold, I was like, oh, I get it. You've decided that voice that is always bargaining, is always telling you, because in a way it's back to what we're mad about science and its crazy thing that it's thrown at us, that you are the sum total of your likes and dislikes. That's who you are. It's like, no, I'm more than what I like and I don't like. I'm more than I don't like it when it's cold. I'm more than that. So if I need to remind myself of that every day, I'll take it, man. I'll take it, because I do need to be reminded of that. And what kind of sometimes seems to me in the magic and occult community is they want to do the backdoor materialism thing. They want to do, maybe I can take that crazy mind that we all have, and maybe I can kind of bargain with it and power it and, law of attraction it and all the rest of that stuff, getting away from fundamentally that there's nothing to get away from. It's just all fundamentally love, connection. There's nothingness in a way, I don't know if I'm making any sense.
No, you're making sense. And trust me, we've had plenty of conversations about this. I remember speaking with Laird Scranton about this too. But let's look at this from a binary point of view, right? If you look at things as all is one, but inside that all is one is a realm full of dualities, well, then it just comes down to the choice. Do you want to be in the oneness, or do you want to experience the realms of dualities? Because I promise you, if you stay in the oneness long enough, it's going to start to get boring after a while. Right? And then you're going to want to go, you're going to want to experience the things. Well, I'm in oneness, so jealousy and hunger and love and passion and all these things are just a concept. It's all this one pond. Well, what if consciousness says, I want to experience those things? Well, then you have to go into the realms of duality. Okay, well, I go down there then. Instead of being all-knowing, now you have amnesia to the fullest. And you have to work your way back. And there's this thing I talked about, Laird Scranton, that he said the Dogon talked about a lot. If you look at a figure 8 symbol, you could see, and this was my analogy, one side being the physical realm full of dualities and all the things that we experience, and the other side being the spiritual realm of oneness. That where those two sides of the figure 8 cross in the middle, that middle point is the subconscious mind, the doorway in between those realms, right? And this is why the breath can get you in and out of those realms, and anything that's tapped to the subconscious, you know. So what
I think that's really quite profound, and I also think it relates to me. It connects back again. A big part of my journey has always been looking at the science, and I mentioned that the reincarnation science, the between lives science, the past lives science, that is real science. That is the way that we need to, back to your point about you need to be able to have a system for finding the truth, for figuring out whether Betty and Barney Hill are telling the truth. And part of that is to say, going back to that, just to revisit it, really, is you say, somebody just hit me with, don't listen to any of that because they did regression. And you hear that, right? So Joe Roop goes, okay, well then maybe I need to be regressed.
No, it's exactly what I do. Yeah.
That reality, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That is so fundamentally beautiful. So I say the same thing with reincarnation. I don't know if you've ever done a past life regression, and I have, and it wasn't particularly successful, I have to say, but it doesn't matter. It was partially successful, and it was also kind of an experience, but it did give me a different perspective, sensibility on that science, because that's what it is. We've been convinced that isn't science. If you talk about near-death experience, that's not a science.
Science is comparison as well.
Science is what?
It's comparison. You right? So to me, a lot of times science uses comparison to prove or disprove things, but they're comparing things that they don't even understand sometimes, that they claim to know the ultimate truth, right? Like they'll do a scientific experiment. Well, does tea melt in 30 seconds versus ice? Well, let's do this variable and let's do this constant, and then we'll come up with our hypotheses, and then we'll let you know. But they don't even know what makes up tea or ice. Then they have to do another experiment. And this is where they're at now, blowing things up to try to find little bitty particles. Doesn't that freak you out just a little bit? Just a little bit. They will build machines the size of countries to figure out the materialistic side of things. But they can't just say, wait a minute, maybe there is another realm here.
Well, I don't know. I'm not totally against that, because where they're at with
I'm not against it. It just scares me, is all I'm saying.
Well, in a way, I think they're closer to kind of coming to our camp through that than a lot of the other quote unquote sciences are, because, they talk about the God particle and all the rest of that. I mean, they're kind of headed in the same way. I just interviewed a guy, fantastic guy.
They're smart, aren't they? Super smart.
What's that?
They're super smart, aren't they?
Well, they are, but here's where I was going to go with that too, is like, back to why science is wrong about almost everything kind of thing. And, you know, sometimes I wrote that book and I didn't even realize it's fully, but what I was saying was more true than I thought it was even at the time. But one of the things is that consciousness, you know, go back to that double slit experiment we're talking about, which this is my thing late. We should stop calling it the double slit experiment and call it the consciousness experiment. Yeah. Because that's what it was. That's what they were trying to measure. You know, what falls out of the double slit experiment is the observer effect. Again, we're just we're trying to hide the fact that it's consciousness. What the scientists were saying was, can we really measure stuff? Or are we stuck in the Zen, if a tree falls in the forest and no one's there to hear it, you know, kind of thing? And that was a real question, because if observing your experiment changes the results, then science is kind of gone, because everything science is about is measuring.
That's right. Comparison and measurement.
Well, exactly. So comparison is measurement, right? Yeah. So now if you're saying, well, okay, I'll call Uncle and realize that I can't really exactly measure, because if I look, it measures one way, and if I don't look, it measures another way. And that is the result. And I know a lot of people, there's not many people listening to this show who are skeptical or scientific, but that experiment has been replicated over and over and over through the years. And all these different scientists have done it because no one liked the result. They wanted to find a way to get a different result. And they always got the same result. Consciousness changes the results. And the only conclusion you can come to is that science is somehow fundamental. I mean, consciousness is somehow fundamental. Consciousness is at the core of all this stuff. So whenever we talk about science, we're talking about a science that is obsoleted itself by proving that it can't really measure things.
Yeah, what is it? You can't measure. Just like, can you measure oneness? If everything is one, can you measure it? Right? Like it doesn't really, I mean, I get what you're saying too, but I also want to go back to what you're talking about occultists and magic. But we live in a day and age where magic has been designed to manifest things, right? Most of the magic you read about is about manifesting things into your life. The original system of 1888 wasn't really about that. Like what I'm talking about with the Golden Dawn, it wasn't designed to manifest things. It was designed to explore consciousness, to change your whole mind frame about the elemental nature of life, to change your whole mind frame about what male and female energy really is, to change your mind frame about what dreams are. And they were prepping you the whole experience through all of the elements. They were prepping you, your body, your energetic nature, and everything to explore consciousness and to grow into this solar Christ-like being that has been taught to us since the beginning of time that that's what we are, right? Now, with that comes the side effect of being able to manifest things into your life. But now that has been the main focus. And when manifesting things in the physical reality is your main focus, it can get pretty dark sometimes, because now it's not about enlightenment. Now it's not about finding out the truth of who you are. It's all about, what can I get? Right? And that's when things get a little sour. So yeah, I mean, I've had my fair share of occultists who try to tell me all kinds of stuff when I really see right through some of the things that they're doing. And I don't like to assume things, Alex, especially, but when it's almost like when you start really studying the consciousness, the subconscious and psychology and all this other stuff that you and I study, you can really start to see where people are coming from, even if they're not saying it with the words they're saying. And you don't want to assume, so you ask a few questions, and those questions line up to your theory about where they're coming from, and you can see their agenda. And this happens in my mind in about 2 seconds, right? So I don't know how to change this, right? I feel like I'm defending magic and theurgy all the time, because I'm constantly having to tell people what it really was meant for, you know? It's hard. And maybe I should just quit.
Well, maybe you should, because I think what you said, particularly like with the Laird Scranton interview you did, was beautifully put. And I hadn't heard that before. And that's awesome that you guys went there. I'm going to have to go back and listen to that interview. But with the infinity sign, you were saying, right? The looped 8, or maybe it's up.
He told me, and he said, and this is what I mean about your intuition, right? I'm not near as intelligent as Laird Scranton, and I never will be, right? This is a smart man. Like, he just reads code. And he paused for a second, and he said, well, I have to tell you, what you just said is pretty much the epitome of everything I've studied that shows that to be true. And I spoke this based on intuition.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we throw intuition out the door? You know?
Well, you know what I was going to hit on, though. So you got Laird, and you got
he's awesome.
Your idea that is kind of beautifully stated of there's these two dimensions. There's the manifesting duality kind of, and that's not a dimension, but there's the manifesting duality part, and then there's the oneness part, and there's this transition, this doorway in between is where it meets. Mm-hmm. So bring that down to another level. I interviewed this guy named Dr. Brian Hayden. Have you ever talked to him?
Oh, no, but I've heard about him, actually. That's really cool. I need to go listen to that. That's really cool.
So, well, we I don't know. I think I kind of maybe ruffled his feathers a little bit.
That's what you do best, though. I like it.
You got to do what you do. So, anyways, and the reason, like, I feel for the guy, because the guy, one, he's Canadian, and I love my Canadian brothers up there, but you know how those guys are with the political correctness, that whole academia. Yeah. I mean, they are over the top, So for that guy to survive and be in the Royal Academy of Archaeology anthropology for the Royal Academy Canada, he had to toe the line, man. He ain't out there talking about extended consciousness, because that don't fly. You know what I mean? So what he's talking about, what he did, which is pretty cool, is he looked at what he calls self-aggrandizement. So what he looked at is the guy who goes into the sweat lodge and comes out and says, "Oh man, bro, come over here, I had a vision. You know what? The gods told me I should be hooking up with your wife this week. For real. No, man, I'm telling you, that's what they said. And they said that when you go out on the hunt, you are going to do it this time. You know what? You're going to come back with that big buck. But I have to kind of do this energy flow with your wife." You know what I mean? So that's what he finds. And he finds this over and over and over again. And it's...
Well, he's got a point. Does he got a point?
Well, here's the point. To me, it's always going to be co-opted. And whether it's being co-opted by the New World Order, freakazoids, or CIA, or whoever it is who's doing it, there's somebody who's always trying to co-opt that power. Yep. But the problem with Brian, and Brian is a good guy, and he kind of opened up and we talked about this. I said, like, I am very open to that, and I think that's a great point to talk about the self-aggrandizement kind of thing, but only in the context of there is a real extended consciousness. Let's not get into, like we do in academia, well, none of it could possibly ever be true. So therefore, we've explained the whole thing by guys trying to sleep with other guys' wives. You know what I mean? Because it's I think it's more complicated than that.
That's ridiculous too. All right, so here's the thing, and I'm living in Rochester, so I'm learning all about these Canadians. Trust me, that's why I laugh so hard. All right, but here's the thing, like, that's not totally true. If anybody read any book about Dr. Stylianos Ateshlis, right, there's a really good book called The Magus of Strovolos. That guy wasn't doing anything for self-aggrandizement, but it took people forever to even find him. And he was naturally healing people naturally doing things like amazing miracles, right? And he wasn't doing anything of that nature. I'm not saying people don't use these things for self-aggrandizement, but that isn't the whole truth, right? That can't be the whole truth. So,
right. And so this is like your thing before of saying, the warning bells go off.
Right. Exactly.
So this is like one of the ways that you gotta have this armor on, like you're talking about, and like you were talking about intuition. And I don't like intuition as I think I like what you said about, hey, somebody tells me, that regression is bullshit and you can't do any memory recovery from it.
I'm going to go find out.
I'm going to go find out.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to be able to say, I don't think that's so true. Or even I'm going to go on the internet and I'm going to find out, all the people associated with the false memory syndrome were all associated with the NAMBLA, pedophile. How can my legal team create some defense? Oh, isn't that interesting? And then I'm going to go and look at law enforcement in other parts of the world where hypnotic regression is allowable in court because it's been proven to be so reliable. It's not always reliable, but it's not always unreliable. And I'm going to go down. I'm going to go, oh, okay. And now I'm going to know something about the guy who was trying to spin that story. And that's going to go into my thing of who I trust.
Yeah, I get totally what you're saying too. Actually, this is so ironic to me. We got one more segment coming up here with Alex Tsakiris, 1-800-588-0335. Has anybody told me, the two people yet in the chat, are you guys going to talk about cats all night? Who do you trust in ufology, right? Who do you not trust?
You trust?
Yeah, just two people. We'll be right back.
I love talking about this stuff.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier.
There we go.
Just
We got
go to
some names popping out now.
TalkStreamLive.com.
All right,
Be
cool.
sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
I get this all the time, like I keep dating these listeners, right?
The truth is out there, and so are we. KTLK, Digital Broadcasting, the Fringe FM.
You have no idea where that leads me.
Want to support Lighting the Void? Just go to lightingthevoid.com, sign up on our membership page, and pick your package where you can get exclusive content, readings, and exclusive behind-the-scenes content. Also, check out the LTV shop where you can get your very own altar box, t-shirt, shack, hoodie with sigil, Roswell-style t-shirt, racerback tees, socks, long-sleeve shirts, stickers, and beanies. Keep Lighting the Void airing 5 nights a week by going to lightingthevoid.com and support today.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
Telepath is a weekly digital newsletter filled with the latest paranormal news, trending topics, and fresh articles from some of the most popular critical thinkers in the community today. Stay informed on your favorite paranormal podcasts and live streaming talk shows. Interact with the Telepath and upload your paranormal story or pics. It could be featured in an upcoming edition. Sign up right now for the free Telepath newsletter at paranormal.radio. That's paranormal.radio.
Lighting the Void and the Esoteric Scholar present the Altar Box, crafted and designed for magicians by magicians. Now you can take your practice with you. This beautifully handcrafted mobile altar opens and works as an altar for any of your spiritual, religious, or ritual practices. Made to travel and work in small spaces, the Altar Box comes with hidden compartments for your practice tools and accessories. The Altar Box also comes with a dark scrying mirror for scrying and reverses and fits perfectly also as a chalkboard for any sigil, symbol, or whatever you see fit to sketch. The Altar Box is handcrafted to carry as a small suitcase, so you may take your practice with you, and the hinges are made with solid material and hinged with leather and rivets for extra strength. The mirror piece and floor plate fit perfectly when closed, so no movement will happen. Use it in small places as well. You can practice meditation, magic, planetary magic, sigil magic, scrying, ritual. Never be without your practice tools again, no matter the setting or where you go. And this season, give the gift of magic for yourself or your loved one by grabbing your Altar Box. Was $249.99, now $199.99. The sale ends January 1st, 2021. Just go to lightingthevoid.com/altarbox and get yours while the sale lasts.
I don't know all the answers to the questions about reality. I do not claim to know the ultimate truth about life. I seek that which has been made hidden as a part of a family of explorers of consciousness. I am a void walker. Hey, this is Macon, and you're listening to Lighting the Void with Joe Root.
All right, welcome back to Lighting the Void. Thanks for listening in tonight. Monday through Friday night, we're here 9 p.m. Pacific to 11 p.m. Pacific, right here on the Fringe FM, right after Troubled Minds Radio and right before The Secret Teachings with Ryan Gable. Bigger things are coming to the Fringe FM I would say every 3 months. If you're one of those people that bounce around from radio station to radio station, you'll see what I'm talking about. Come back in about 3 or 4 months and then try again. We're just going to keep growing. You and I, Alex Tsakiris, that's who I'm speaking with, our guest tonight from Skeptico, skeptico.com, Skeptico with a K. Go check out the website, subscribe to the podcast. You won't regret it. Especially if you like this podcast. But, you know, we were talking about that pressure cooker during break, and I feel like there's a new internet star, truth-seeking star, just popping up every week now. And you were talking about the shrapnel of that. Like when you start squeezing people enough, any of us, even my listeners, like I tell my listeners all the time, Alex, I'm like, you should start a podcast. You should speak your mind. Ask the questions that you want to ask. Talk about the things that you're passionate about. Express yourself. Do it. Find your people, right? That's really happening. And it's happening like compound interest. I think it's going to speed up. I think there's going to be more voices, and the more that they just keep us oppressed, like you were talking to me about during the break, it's going to cause some hell. It's already starting, I think, actually. I really do. I mean, look what happened at the White House. Look at that.
Let's not even go there.
I mean, I'm not saying that's true or they were justified, but that's chaos.
Well, maybe it's orchestrated chaos. Who knows?
Exactly.
That's the reason I say don't go there, is because we don't know there. And really what I wanted to do, I wanted to comment on the first part of what you're saying, because I feel it's very, very similar to you, you know, is that, and like you just dropped like a little bit before, like, because let's forget the inside baseball. The pressure cooker, what we're talking about is that what we've all gone through the last year is unprecedented in our lifetimes. And we all know that.
Yep.
But what comes out of that? What emerges out of that? You know, you just, in the break, you know, you kind of said, what crawls out of the mud? And I think that's a good way of putting it. You know, and you know who crawls out of the mud? Is some tough ass, ready to rumble dude that, you know, wasn't there before. Because he was cool watching the ball game and just going down to the bar. And now you've turned that guy into a tiger because you took all that stuff away because you thought that was cool. But no, man, you turned that guy into a tiger. Now, the shrapnel hit the neighbor who committed suicide. It hit the other guy who started beating his kids and his wife. And that's horrible. That is horrible that they sacrificed all that shrapnel. But they didn't realize the tigers that they unleashed from that cage. And when you look in the eyes of these people, I'm not putting them down, but there is a fear in them that tiger doesn't have. Because number one, they fear death. They all fear death. I mean, it's just like all over the place. Like, how do I live forever? And how do I turn into an AI machine and all the rest of that? That tiger who's crawling out of the mud, the last thing on his mind is fear. He's just out there and is that seeking warrior consciousness guy. I mean, are we in sync on that?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, You've hit the nail on the head, man. Look, even the people, like I said, even the people listening to the show, right? It's weird. When I first started doing this, before there was COVID or any of this stuff, people just liked listening to radio. I would say the majority of them liked listening to podcasts and radio, and maybe they thought about doing a podcast or whatever. But now everybody's so squeezed. I can tell you for sure, at least 1/3 of this listening audience is on the verge of starting their own podcast. They're on the verge of speaking their mind. People are not happy, man. That's an understatement. They just want to get some type of clarity back in their lives, some type of joy, some type of normalness or regularity that they could go back to. And I think this is a good thing because people are going to start learning what they're made of. Sure, there's going to be some chaos, but that's always happened in history. And people start figuring out what they're made of. And I don't think this country's ever going to be the same again. I don't think society's ever going to be the same again unless they start fixing this now. And I mean now, right? I was looking at an article the other day on the Drudge Report, and I don't really, take these articles to heart because you never know what's happening. But we all predicted what this article said a long time ago. It said, now COVID is going to turn into just a common nuisance. And I'm like, well, isn't that what the flu is? You see what I mean? Like, that's starting to happen already. Well, it's just a common nuisance now. That's what it's about to become. And it's like someone's leading us along with all of this stuff. You had a question in your survey about the media, and I didn't get to listen to your answers, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. What are your thoughts on the media? Are they done? We can't depend on them anymore. It's over. It's over, right?
It's to me. I mean, I want to not be too dramatic, right. But I don't know. Something else. It's back to what we're saying. Something else will emerge because what we have now is just so far from what we ever could have imagined. I just had a really interesting interview with a guy, and I don't want to call him out too much, but it was on the mask thing, the COVID mask thing. It was a science interview. It was purely science. I'm sending him studies. He's sending me studies. We're talking about what a meta-analysis means, what clinical versus laboratory experiments, what the statistical significance, correlation, all this stuff, because I wanted it to be really, really sciencey. And this guy is a PhD in microbiology from Carnegie Mellon. But at one point, I go, the first thing we got to do is like, dude, I'm going to say a whole bunch of conspiratorial crap about New World Order and pandemic. I'm going to say all this stuff intentionally. You know why? Because this is a science discussion, and science should never be banned. So how could this possibly be banned if we're having a science discussion? And I go, what do you think about that? And he goes, well, I don't know. I think, I have so many followers on misinformation, this and that. And I go, yeah, but what about the First Amendment? Joe, I'm telling you, man. I tell you, PhD Carnegie Mellon. Again, I'm not like hating on this guy, but there was this pause. And it was a kind of pause, like, not that he doesn't know what the First Amendment is, but he's kind of like unclear. Is that the gun thing or the church thing or the speech thing? You know what I mean?
Which one is it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's where we're at. So you talk about the press, the First Amendment, like when we were kids, we never thought that could possibly go the way, we always thought the Fourth Amendment, where they couldn't come in and ransack your house and, pull you out of your car. We always knew that they could probably do that if they wanted to, and they got rid of the Fourth Amendment. But we always felt like the First Amendment, freedom of speech, we were safe.
Yeah, we used to brag about that, right? We're Americans. We can say what we want. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I guess it's a long-winded answer to, what do you think about the media? I don't know. I mean, I'm not one to kind of pull the fire alarm and say, the Republic's dead. But, I mean, it's just, it's pretty, we'll get it back. I just don't know how it's going to come back. Because there's too many people who will wake up to that you just can't, that you really don't want to live in Chi-Com. You really don't want to live under a social credit. Just give me all your stuff, and then trust me, I'll redistribute it back to you, and give me all your rights, and then you know what, I'll give you some of them back. I mean, there's enough people who are smart enough to go, hey, dog, no, I ain't doing that.
Well, but here's my thing. While everybody is talking about that, they're talking about, everybody's out talking about the media and Trump and COVID and, Bill Gates. And I'm not saying we haven't talked about all this stuff. We have, and all these different agendas, 2021, 22, depopulation, etc. Every conspiracy under the sun. I'm going to be meditating, trying to become a ghost. And once I become a ghost, I'm going to go over there and find out for myself. That's what I'm going to do. Because I've given up on trying to get answers from any of these people or anybody that's investigating these people. It's a smokescreen. You're never going to get the whole truth. And that sounds completely wackadoo, I'm sure, to everybody. So wait a minute. You're not going to do actual journalism. You're going to lay on your couch and wait till you come out of your body and go see what's real. It might be completely wackadoo, but those people that you're going to investigate are doing the same thing. Just wait until you run into them.
See, but here's the other possibility, and this goes back to our dual, non-dual, is that once you become the ghost, and once you go there, you have an understanding at a completely different level where you don't go back. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah,
you made a huge move. You went from Arkansas to Rochester. You totally. Aren't you in Rochester?
Yeah, no. Rochester's like the northernest part of New York. I can drive 20 minutes and get to Canada, and everybody up here talks about you want a hot in a bun. They talk like Dan Aykroyd up here,
So you make that kind of transition, and then you go back home, and it's like the famous author Thomas Wolfe's, you can never go home. And only people that have made those kind of physical moves, realize what he was talking about. Or people who, do big things in their life and then they go back. You can't really go home. And I think the same thing's going to happen to you when you do become that ghost. And then you come back and you just see things Because this is what the science is telling us. This is what the near-death experience is telling us, right? It's like they get to another level and they just see, oh, God, now I see the whole thing. That guy that raped me, when my dad raped me between the ages of 3 and 6, well, that fit into this whole crazy thing like this in a way that I could never imagine. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then you come back and it's different. And too many people have talked about that exact kind of thing. And I'm not trying to, lessen that, or I don't have that experience. I don't know what that means. But when people, like you were saying, when people tell you that in a way that makes you feel like they understand that at a deeper level, I take the possibility that there's some truth to that. And I don't think you're ever going to be able to go home. I think when you get there to being a ghost, you just won't have the oomph to come back in that way. What do you think? You think that's possible? You think I'm just...
No, I think once I've seen it, then I can come back and talk about it, and then it's over.
You won't want to talk about it.
You won't
actually need to talk about it.
Robert Monroe tried this, and he talked about it in his book, because he said, look, if I can do this, everybody, what do they know about it, right? And funny enough, in that movie Third Eye Spies, they were focusing everything on Ingo Swann and all this other stuff, but there were pictures of Robert Monroe in those pictures, and nobody said anything about it. But anyways, he said, you know what, I'm going to go see the president. He got in his astral form, went to see the president, and there were guards in the astral realm that blocked him and said that you can't speak to the president today. Now, he did exactly what you're talking about. He just went back home, wrote about it, and he was done with it, But I guess I'm not really understanding what you're saying, though, but once you see what you see.
You remember the stories about Edgar Cayce? Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, Edgar Cayce, like the sleeping prophet, kind of one of the most famous. What would we call that? Would we call that remote viewing or psychic? Just being psychic? Well, what term would we put on that?
I think Edgar Cayce, I don't know where he would go into people's bodies and look around and stuff. I have no idea what you call it.
He was kind of an astral traveler, but the thing about those stories, if anyone ever goes back and reads those, the things that he would do is he'd go, okay, people would write him letters and say, I have this ailment, some serious thing, might kill him or something. He'd go, okay, you need to drive there's a pharmacy in Missouri on this street, and the guy doesn't know it, but on the 7th shelf, all the way down behind him, he has an ointment, and you combine that with this, and then that'll be your cure. And people would do it. I mean, this is like, Akashic Records, mind-blowing. Edgar Cayce had this kind of awareness. But then go read some of the stuff that Edgar Cayce wrote. He wrote some crazy racism stuff that is just so over the top. It's just, you read it nowadays and you're like, how could he be a genius over on this level and be, kind of just provably ignorant on this other level? And I just think there's people that totally transcend that get to another kind of, so I think if you want to get to the Edgar Cayce and go find the ointment on the 7th shelf of the thing in Missouri, I think you can do that and come back and report it. But I think if you really found the deepest truth, if you really connected with, the God spirit head, I think you might just completely see things like, hey, Joe, the reason you want to see God, the reason you want to see the president is because of this, but the president actually is this and this. And, you'd see all his past lives, and you'd see all his future lives, and you'd see the whole planet, and you'd see how the whole thing fits together. And you're like, oh, okay. I get it. You know what I mean?
I'm good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
right.
good.
Yeah, that's funny. Actually, that's pretty funny. I see what you're saying now. But at this point, these guys, they astral travel around. They actually meet up at a crystal and stuff. Man, when I first heard about this stuff, I thought, what the hell? You're right. Like, come on, let's get to some real truth seeking here. Let's figure this out. But once I started realizing how real it was, even talking to people like Thomas Campbell and other folks that actually did this stuff, I'm thinking, man, if we can do this, why the hell do we have all these questions about politics and the military? Why don't we just go find out for ourselves? What you come to find out is these astral travelers and conscious explorers don't too much give a damn about any of that stuff. I wonder why that is, because they have the power to go see and explore the answers. But I think to your point is they don't really care at that point, because it's not even a big question to them. You know, who's the perpetrator? And that goes back to like this whole perpetrator victim mentality. It's this, I'm the victim, therefore side door A, there has to be a savior, and door B has to be a perpetrator. Where are the characters? That's like this whole conspiracy mentality. But conscious explorers are like, that's cool. I know something's going on over there, but I want to go see what I can do. And then maybe I'll go over there and look. I want the two to kind of come together, is what I'm saying.
I hear you. And the last thing I would do is try and inhibit anyone from going down those paths, because those are paths forward, you know, I think. Like atheism is a path that just, I don't see how that leads anywhere. I think that's mind control. I think a lot of, so anyways, you know, what do you think? I mean, are there any paths that are kind of invalid, are not really taking us forward, or is everything in its own way a path forward? You know, what do you think about that?
I think everything, I think everything is its own. There's every path that a person can take. I believe in alchemy, right? Because I've studied alchemy, this whole process of alchemy. And to me, it doesn't matter if you're practicing magic or if you're just meditating or you're doing Wim Hof, or you're going to go through these processes regardless. However, if you want to take more control and power of your life, or you want to have more of awareness of what's going on, then you might want to get into this stuff. It's kind of like that guy in the Matrix where he said, you know, if we would have knew the truth, we would have told Morpheus to shove that red pill up his ass, right? Because ignorance is bliss. I like my steak. I don't want to know that stuff. And even in Ecclesiastes, it talks about the more you know, the more sorrowful you become. So you have to make a choice. Do I want to stay dumb and just kind of experience my life, which is fine, but you're still going to go through alchemy. You're still going to go through karma, reincarnation, all this other stuff. Or do you want to start to become more aware of the process, right? Now, I'm not going to sit around here like a lot of the conspiracy people and get mad at the people that don't want to become more of the process, that just want to live their lives. That's a waste of energy. Why are you trying to convince these people to care when they don't? But if you do want to know, then I'll have a discussion with you about it, because I want to know too. You know? That's how I feel about it.
Perfectly said, my friend. Perfectly said. I love it.
What do you got going on now, man? Like, when do you do your shows? Because I know we got to roll out of here, but people that listen to you that are new, like, let them know.
You know, you can find all the shows on Skeptico. You know what I'm doing that's new? I'm doing a thing on the Romans and how this whole crazy pro-Roman Judaism, Christianity thing started, because I think there's a really great conspiracy story there that hasn't been adequately told. So I'm talking all these religious scholars and all these experts on Josephus and Tacitus and Vespasian, and it's a great relief from some of the crap, but in a way it leads back to it, because the Romans were us. We are the Romans.
Man. Yeah.
The connection there is like too crazy.
Yeah, that's cool. I can't wait to listen to that too. But are you going to write about that? Or are you just going to like talk to a couple of people about it? Because I can tell you're genuinely curious about that subject. Like, are you just going to keep going down that rabbit hole?
Yeah. I mean, that's why people got really frustrated with me on the evil thing, because I just kept pounding on it.
You kept going down that hole? Yeah. I like it though.
But I mean, that's kind of my thing with the show is, like I always say, it's a little frustrating for people, but it really always has been my journey shared with other people. So, it's like, I don't know about you, but like when people don't like the way I do things, like I'm like, hey man, I'm sorry, but
I'm still going to do it.
I'm not going to change it. I'm just not going to change it. It's like, I'm just trying to figure it out. So I'm doing the best I can at figuring it out for me, not entertaining you.
That's right. And that's why I admire you, Alex. And thanks for coming back on, man. Thanks for coming on the show. It's good to have you back.
Super great conversation. I always love it.
You guys stay tuned for the Secret Teachings with Ryan Gable. We'll be back tomorrow night. Go check out the Skeptico podcast at skeptico.com. All the links will be in the archives. We'll see you guys tomorrow night. Good night. Sweet dreams.